Hey guys, happy Friday. Hey Andy.
Hello, Summer.
Yeah. We're in a fight right now. But that's besides the point. Do you remember when we had normal jobs and like Fridays were exciting?
They were.
And it was like, yay, it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday.
Right. Couldn't wait to get home, get out.
I wonder what that would be like.
It would be totally
The work
different.
week's over and I just get to do nothing for 2 days. What would that be like? My boss gives me no days off.
That is a terrible boss.
0.
Yeah, no.
No vacation either.
Either you're...
And I don't get paid, guys. It's the worst.
It's a good thing that we're talking about watching the tongue, because I can just warn you right now, you need to be really careful. Your boss is probably a really nice person.
Yeah, he's super nice.
There you go.
Great boss.
Thank you.
We're in James.
Absolutely.
If you didn't know, we're super excited
We are.
to keep talking about the tongue and how dangerous it is. We're still in chapter 3. We're going to start at verse 6, and I don't know, we might finish chapter 3 if we're lucky. I don't know. We'll see. No promises, okay? So we'll start at verse 6. It says, "And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defiles the whole body and sets on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. For every kind of beasts and of birds and of serpents and things in the sea is tamed and has been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame. It is unruly. It's an unruly evil full of deadly poison. Therewith bless we God, even the Father, and therewith curse we men which are made after the similitude of men, of God, sorry. Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessing and cursing. My brethren, these things ought not so to be. Does a fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter? Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries? Either a vine figs? So can no fountain both yield salt, water, and fresh." So let's pause there, because that's the end of the tongue talk.
Right.
The last 6 verses there. The thing that stands out to me in there the most, because, we've talked about the whole danger of the tongue already,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And how evil it is and how it's been my biggest problem, like in life. I like how he says that no man can tame it, right? That it's unruly and it's full of poison. I think about that a lot because I think, not just in the aspect of the tongue, but like in all of our sin nature and in our flesh, like I think about things in my life or relationships or whatever where before I had a close relationship with God and before I was really in my word and knew the word and all that kind of stuff, I just tried really hard to tame my tongue, or tried really hard to be a better person, or tried really hard to love people.
Right.
And it's impossible. Like you do good for a while, but willpower it runs out.
Right.
Literally. And then you screw up, you usually blow up because you've been holding in things, and you literally cannot do these things on your own. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I had a better relationship with God and knew his word where I could, it like did it on its own.
Right.
Like those things just changed in me because my heart was changing because of this. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you think differently, you respond differently, and you don't even know why. It's just that the state of your heart has changed. So like I like that he says that no man can tame it.
Right.
Because I feel like that's completely true. We can't tame any of these things in our life that we suck at.
Right.
Because it's a flesh and a sin thing. It's like impossible without God, and he makes it that way on purpose.
I think it's important to put things into perspective like you just did, right? Because if we're not doing that, then we end up having maybe too high of a standard, right?
Yeah.
Which causes guilt, in which the enemy wants us to continually believe that we should be living a lifestyle here. Now, while God would love us to do that, while we would love to do that, Jesus knew we couldn't do that. Right? So Jesus is constantly bridging that gap between where God would love us to be and where God loves us. Right? And those two things are totally different. And what you're saying is so relevant, Summer, that, again, one of the things that I love to use as an analogy here is my horses. Mm-hmm. Right? I've had baby horses, lots of baby horses over the course of my life. And we have broken a whole bunch of those. But a lot of times people who don't really know what they're talking about talk about taming a horse. Right? There's a big difference. I don't tame my horses, right? There's a line in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, C.S. Lewis's book, where it says, "Is he a tame lion?" And the answer about Aslan the lion is, no, he's not a tame lion. He's a good lion, right? So there's this concept that we can't tame something. The evil nature that we have is always fighting. Paul brings about that fight, right? I'm not doing what I want to do. I'm not being what I want to be. Yeah. There's always this fight. And the truth of the matter is, there's a reason why Jesus, in the biggest moments of his ministry, he tended to talk a little, right? Yes. So we look at the woman caught in adultery. Very few words of Jesus there, yet the magnitude of that was amazing, right? A whole bunch of when the man had brought his child, for the disciples to heal, they couldn't do it, and he's pleading with Jesus, and Jesus, very few words, right? He just asks him, hey, if I can, right? And the man says, I do believe, help my unbelief, right? There's these words where Jesus, in big moments, he didn't say a lot. Right. He let who he was do the talking. I think in my life, as is evident right now in this moment, we think that the more we talk in big moments, the better it is. Sometimes the biggest moments in life are not about talking. Yeah. They're about holding back our talk.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've learned that big time. I was always a snap reactive, like I always have to say something no matter what. Like I have to say something. And now, you always make fun of me because you're like, do you want to say something? I'm like, nope, I just want to listen, and I need to take stuff in, and I don't even have to try anymore. I'm just like very observant now and very quiet, and it is a good thing. It doesn't mean that you don't slip up.
Nope.
It doesn't mean that sometimes I don't say the wrong thing when I'm in the wrong situation and I don't have the ability to slow down and think. That's like I said, these sins and these little things that happen are always in like high emotional, high stress moments where the enemy's got you pinned, kind of, and you're mad, and things come out.
Yep. I think again that you're spot on in that. It tends to be those who are closest to us.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yep. Or those that we have zero relationship with, right? That get our tongue. Right? So it's those that we know, like we can let our guard down a little bit and we're just going to let them have it, right? Yeah. Or it's the person we don't know who's waiting on us at a restaurant or something like that. We have no connection with them. We can let them have it, is how we think. And God really, he encourages us through James, guard your tongue. Like, watch it. I love what it says in verse 10. Like, listen, the whole concept of we bless God, we curse man.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
At the same time, and we look at that and say, like, wait a minute. And James says, this isn't how it ought to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like, directly saying to us, you can't do that. We mix that with what John tells us, where he says, listen, you can't say you love God and hate people.
Right.
Right? See, you can't be about blessing God. Oh, I love Jesus. I'm going to sing songs to him. Yep. And then as we walk out the door from church, right, we're cursing somebody because they bumped into us, right? Or they did something that we didn't like, or
you are
the
directly
flowers
cursing
didn't get
God.
Yeah, exactly.
He said, if you don't have love for your brother, then you don't love me, period.
And if you don't love God, you're not going to heaven. So all of this ties in, right? If you love God, you will love people. If you love people, you're going to guard your tongue. Again, I make it very clear. Jesus made a way for this, right? So we do harm to somebody. It's a really simple process. Our friend Robbie tells us it every day, multiple times. Just repent, right? Just repent. Like, man, I said the wrong thing, right? We were laughing as we got on the show, right? Because our good friend Ned is here listening to us, and he was slightly taken aback, right? And he immediately helped me out with prayer when I accidentally may have inferred that a sound you made sounded like a whale. right? That's my take on this whole thing.
Ladies, you get it.
Right. So when we started out the show and Summer was saying that we're arguing.
We're in a fight.
Right. That's what we're talking about, right?
Not really.
I may have said that Summer sounded like a whale.
Beached whale.
Right. Which, by the way, does not say that I said that she is a whale. It just simply said that she sounded like a whale. And we can play that clip if you want us to.
We could. We have it recorded.
Right. But it's funny because I was watching our friend Ned, and his immediate reaction was, "Oh no!" And then it was, "Pray!" Right?
Fear for Andy's life.
Like, hey, I'm watching Andy's side because I know that Summer has a left arm and it could probably extend, right, and it can reach him.
Yep.
Listen, we get to joke like that because we're a family down here, and it doesn't matter who we're filming with. We all have that relationship. But the truth of the matter is, I could have said that comment in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And
to the
somebody
wrong
would have
person.
been really offended by it, right?
Yeah.
So we have to be careful about that, right? It also means that we have to pay attention. We have to pay attention to where we are at times, right?
Yeah.
Where are we in this situation? Who am I talking to, right? We had another situation where our friend Robbie was just taping, and he was joking with me on screen and saying, talking about me being four eyes. Well, that's a conversation that Robbie and I have, because when I was in school, everybody was always like, "Hey, four eyes," with glasses. Like, it was just something that we said.
Right.
Well, again, Robbie's saying that if somebody's watching and not paying attention and knowing what our relationship is, and that he's talking directly to me as he infers in his video, well, then they're offended, right?
Right. They could be.
Again, we can't walk around on eggshells always worrying about offending people.
Right.
But we don't offend people on purpose.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's joking in love, and then there's the jokes that aren't funny. Where people just say truth and call it a joke.
Yeah.
I love those. Those are my favorite.
Hey,
I want to throw a dagger at you, but I don't have the guts to just say it, so I'll say it's a joke at the end.
That's right.
Those are awesome. Just say the mean thing. I'd rather you just say the mean thing.
We never get that in the pastoral world, do we?
No, never.
People never,
are so nice
ever
to us.
infer things about after sermons and messages and Sunday school lessons.
They just say, "Great job, you guys are wonderful."
Yes, that's exactly right.
Anything else you think about the tongue we should talk about?
No, because I think it ties in with the next section that you're going to read.
All right.
And it all goes together.
Are we going to finish chapter 3?
We're going to finish chapter. Well, probably not, but that's okay.
All right. Who is a wise man and doeth with knowledge among you? Mm-hmm. Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter envying and strife in your heart, glory not and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descends not from above, and is earthly, sensual, and devilish. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and evil in every work. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace of them that make peace. Woo!
Yeah, so tons of sermon material right here, right?
No, so good.
But the problem is you can't preach the backside without preaching the front side of this, which then should be convicting all of us.
Yeah.
Right? I love, again, your version is the King James, right?
Yep.
My version is the ESV, and I love verse 13 when it starts off by saying, "Who is wise and understanding among you?"
Yeah.
Right? So James is going right from this whole talk about the tongue, right? He's talking about like, hey, what you say matters, how you say it matters, where you say it matters, to who you say it matters. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, if you're wise and understanding in this, here's what's going to happen, right? It says, by his good conduct, let him show his works in meekness of wisdom, right? So a lot of times, one of the areas in this whole tongue department that we get in trouble is that we're constantly trying to impress people by what we know. Right? We're constantly adding way too many words to a conversation. We're constantly using words.
Big words.
We don't
making
know
up words.
Well, I'm not so bad about the making up words. That's understandable, right? But the big words, right, that other people don't understand, that's a problem, right? And James is saying, listen, part of Christianity is you can know a whole bunch, know a lot, understand a lot. But people who understand and know a lot, they tend to shut up. Right? They have very little to just say without invitation, right? So again, let me just love on Ned for a second, who's listening. One of the things he did a couple minutes ago was you were doing a video, and he's like, hey, listen, if you'd ever like some constructive feedback, let me know, right? Again, that's a fantastic invitation, right? That's a, hey, I have some wisdom, I have some understanding, I'm qualified, actually, even he is, to be able to comment on all of our videos, right? But he didn't say like, hey, Summer, let's go in the other room, let's sit down, let me tell you what I think about your videos. Right? What he said was, hey, if you'd ever like some constructive criticism, right?
Totally different.
Or just some encouragement, because you were actually doing it on encouragement, which was fun.
That is funny.
Right? But that invitation is, I have words for you, but they come with your invitation.
Right.
I think that is so Jesus-like. I think Jesus did that over and over in the Gospels, right? I have words for you, but they come with an invitation.
Yeah.
Right? You invite me to speak life into you.
Yeah.
Right? The Samaritan woman at the well, she invited Jesus to speak life into her, right? Because all he said was, can I have some water? And what did she just took it like, well, you have no idea who I am, or you wouldn't be asking.
To me, you shouldn't be speaking to me.
That's exactly what she said. Like, listen, you shouldn't be talking to me. And he's like, oh, no, I know all about you. There's my invitation, right? Since you asked, let me tell you what I know about you.
I always say that to people. Don't ask if you don't want to know.
And you know what? That is the truth. When somebody says, hey, I have some constructive criticism for you, if you don't want to know, don't ask. Yeah. Right? And that's, I think that is so important, because that's what James is saying. Wise people, they look at a situation, they may have lots of things to say about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said earlier, that was me, just. But I think I love like the wisdom part. Like I always say, wisdom is like application. Like you can have a ton of knowledge, and be a hot mess.
Yes.
But like wisdom is knowing how to properly apply your knowledge, right? Like how to actually use the knowledge properly. And like I love where he says that about the envying and the strife and confusion is evil work, and that's you can be doing exactly what he says here and have those boastful words and those prideful words and the conceited thing where but everything you're saying is true. But you're causing envying and strife and confusion, and you know it. So you could be speaking truth and still be sinning, because it's Proverbs 6, right? You're just stirring up the community to have strife unnecessarily when you don't have to.
Yeah, you're spot on. I love verse 14, partly because you and I have been dealing with this, right? And it's in the ESV version, it says, but if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and be false to the truth, is what the ESV. So there's two parts to that, right? When somebody is jealous and that combines with selfish ambition, I only want to take care of myself, right? I'm all about me, right? All of a sudden, two things come out of that I don't know that we think about a lot, right? But it does tremendous damage. The first one is we begin to boast about ourselves. I'm great. I have it all together. I'm perfect.
I'm better than you.
Right. And we look down at people. The second that we're looking down at people, that absolutely positively is not going to be an unloading of the gifts of the Spirit, right? The fruit of the Spirit's not coming down that chute. What's coming is the fruits of the flesh, right? And that's what he says. Like all of a sudden, here's what's going to happen. You're going to boast, but then the second part of that, and be false to truth.
Yeah.
Right now, all of a sudden, we're going to twist things.
We lie?
Right? So we lied to people. And
you don't even realize it.
We lie about situations, right?
Yeah.
We end up destroying people. Now, how do we do that? Well, we do that with our tongue, right? Now, again, let me make this clear. Tongue in today's world takes on some pretty unique characteristics, right? Than when James was there. It involves texting, it involves emails, it involves all kinds of stuff, right? That talking didn't have when he was here.
Right.
But now all of a sudden, we misrepresent the truth. Again, James is talking here to people who are claiming to be believers.
Right.
He's not talking about go to the workplace and the non-Christians, how they talk about you.
Right.
He's saying you and I, right, in relationship, we're going to have a problem. Right? If we're not watching our words and we're being careful with our words, then with a lack of understanding, right, a lack of wisdom, what happens is you and I get jealous. We're down here, we're videoing a whole bunch of people every week, right? These shows go up. If everybody starts only keying in on how many views they get, there's a discrepancy. Right? Of some people's shows get a few, some get a lot, they're all over the place. If we're not careful and we allow ourselves to become jealous and we have selfish ambition, which is, I want to have the most views, I need to have the most likes, then all of a sudden our tongue is out of control. Now all of a sudden, not only are we boasting, but more importantly, now we're misrepresenting truth. God has no tolerance for misrepresenting truth.
No, that's super, super dangerous. What did we talk about that last week? Or in another video? I don't even know. About, like false doctrine and false teaching is often us just giving bad advice. It's not even like a false gospel. It's just us twisting truth and twisting scenarios and just giving really bad advice, and like I think that does all those bad things too.
Well, look at, and again, what does your version say for what does the King James say in verse 15?
This wisdom descends not from above, but is earthly, sensual, and devilish.
Okay, so I mean, look at the terminology that James uses right there. Right? He specifically says, first of all, this is not godly wisdom. So when you see jealousy, when you see boasting, and when you see people misrepresenting the truth, it is not godly. So don't make those people godly. Don't make that moment godly. Please don't tell me what a godly person they are.
Or, oh my gosh, I hear it all the time. I prayed before I did this, and now I'm saying this stuff to you.
Right.
And that drives me.
And the answer is, James outright says what it is. I love the point blankness. It's earthly, unspiritual, and demonic.
Yeah.
Right? So, again, listen carefully. If your words are tearing people down, right?
Condemning them.
Destroying them, dividing them, right? Doing all of that kind of stuff. Then James says your words are demonic. It's the way that the enemy works, right? It's the fruits of the flesh. It's how we recognize, right? All kinds of people who are causing division with their words. Again, now we have to be careful because Jesus said he did come to divide, right?
Yeah.
But heavenly truth is different, right? It's not done out of earthly ambition. It's not done with jealousy. It's not done out of boasting. What it's done is that I'm just simply standing on truth. It's also why we need to stand on Jesus. We don't stand on my take of Jesus. We don't stand on my methodology of Jesus. We stand on Jesus. Jesus said this. Period.
I love how he sums it up in 17, where he basically tells you this is how you know. Like when people are talking to you and they're responding this way, you'll know based on first, if it's bad, right? It's earthly, it's sensual, it's demonic or devilish. And then if it's good, if it is from God, if it's from above, it's peaceable, gentle, easy to be, taken, full of mercy, good fruit, without partiality and without hypocrisy. So if that's what you're getting, then that's good. That's from above. That is godly wisdom.
It's funny because one of the things in that whole little list of things, and I love, again, how the ESV says, open to reason. So listen, if we're
not just my way, is it?
Right. The wisdom from above is open to reason. How often do we see that in churches? Right? We have pastors and we have leadership in churches and people in churches who are not in any way, shape, or form open to reason. It's the concept of drashing. We talk about it down here all the time. Can you and I talk about an issue and vehemently disagree with it, but be open to reason? I'll talk about it with you, but it's to bash you over the head with it, right? It's not. I'm not open to your take on it.
Well, that's the earthly wisdom. That's pride.
Yes.
That's me assuming oh yeah, well I know, so I know and I know and I know, and that's it.
I think it's funny when people ask if, hey, can we have a civil conversation? Well, what does civil conversation mean? Well, it's like, hey, I want to have a civil conversation. What that really means is...
I want to attack you and I don't want you to fight back.
Exactly. I want you to sit there and listen to what I have to say.
Basically.
Right? And not react to what I have to say.
Yeah. Just take it.
Well, yeah, why don't we just call it what it is? You'd like to lecture me, and I'll be the student. You're the teacher. Right? And then I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that philosophy as long as you're willing to let the role reverse. Right? I'll sit. Good communication skills. Those people who teach it, they tell you, listen to somebody completely.
Right. Don't cut them off.
And then they listen to you completely.
Right.
Right? And I love the fact that most good people teach you, after you're done, you say back to them, here's what I heard you say.
Yeah.
I heard you say that I'm a mess. Is that what you said? Right? And again, that's important because it brings about communication. No, that's not what I meant. Okay, then tell me again what you said.
Right.
But that's being open to reason, right?
Right.
And then I love the last verses as we finish this up, right? What comes out of all of this? A harvest of righteousness, peace, right, is sown for this. That's amazing. If we shut our mouth a little more, right? If we're open to wisdom and understanding, if we're willing to go with the wisdom that comes from up above, which means, again, I'm not keeping the peace, right? I'm not going to just tell you whatever you want to hear, right? I'm going to say, instead, I want to peace make, which is, listen, I understand that we have a difference. Let's figure this out, right? But peace comes from all of this wisdom that comes from God, so that we can live in harmony together, right? I love that whole concept, because most of us sing. We all want to sing the melody. But if you ever go to a church where they actually do 4-part harmony and people just know it and they just do it, it is fantastic, right? You listen and it just fills like the cathedral. It fills the church, right? But it's not one melody that everybody's singing. It's 4 parts. And everybody just kind of knows their part and they sing it and it works together, right? I think that's important. We've made everything now in life. There's just one way of doing it. There's one way of saying it. There's one way of hearing it. The truth of the matter is, as James is saying, James is saying what Paul has said. It's Christ and Christ crucified, period. Everything else is commentary on that, right? Everything else is just talking about that. And I think Jesus led his talk all the way up to that moment. He was talking about that moment. Here's how the kingdom's going to be when I introduce the kingdom. Here's how it is, blah, blah, blah. That's not really what Jesus said. He said really good things, right? But then at the end of it, what does he tell him? He's killed, he's buried, he's resurrected, and then what does he say? Go tell them. Go tell people what you heard. Go tell people what you saw. Go tell people what you experienced, right?
I love this peace thing at the end because we've talked about that, like the difference in conversation. Because we have a lot of conversations with people.
I bet people don't understand how much we talk.
We talk 24/7, guys, to each other or everyone else or both. And it's like, it's amazing when you can have a hard conversation or even tell somebody something hard like this, do these things where with most people there's a fight. And then you do it right, and at the end, there's peace. And that's such an amazing thing. It's such a good thing. And you grow out of that. All of those things, you grow out of it. Every single time it happens right, both people grow out of it. Well, and it's awesome.
It's what we just said about Ned and constructive criticism, right? Constructive criticism has you growing.
Yeah.
It's meant for you to grow.
Right.
Right? Here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I think maybe could be a little bit better. But that's not just about speaking. That's about a Christian walk. People should be listening. One of the things that we do well down here is, now our conversation on Thursday, people don't understand as they're filming, it starts at 8 in the morning. It ends sometimes at 6 at night, right? Depending on if Mel's filming and all these things. And it's one continuous conversation throughout the day, just different faces, right? But if you sat and listened throughout the whole day, it's amazing how many similarities there are and how but you also get opportunities to invest in people's lives,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're learning about people, and now you're doing life with people.
Yeah.
And now when they say to you, hey, do you want to have some chicken wings with me? The answer is yes. And then we start talking, and then we can invest in each other, right?
Yeah.
We tend to do life more of, hey, I'll come in, I'll evaluate what you're doing, I'll tell you what you're doing wrong, and then I'm out.
And then I leave, yeah.
We want people who, like, hey, I really want to do life with you.
Yeah. Perfect.
There you go.
Well, we certainly can't go further because 4 is amazing. And there's lots to talk about.
No, and I think that was pretty impressive that we got through that I let you get through.
That is the most verses we've ever done ever in anything ever.
Right, and we've given our people plenty on this Friday night with James to talk about.
Yeah, it was encouraging.
It was encouraging. It went from beached whales to peaceful conversation. Right? That's good.
Yeah, see, guys, it's a perfect example application.
There you go.
Maybe next time he'll have the wisdom to not say beach whale.
This is a very true statement.
See, we learn and we grow, and then there's peace.
Amen.
Perfect. Well, guys, we hope that you have a fabulous Friday night with Jesus and whoever else you are with. We hope you have an awesome weekend, and we will see you next week to study James chapter 4. It's going to be good. Make sure you don't miss it. Have a good weekend, guys.